about office, maybe on the letting side and then on the investment side. On the letting side, the first quarter of 2013 was quite a nightmare for all of them. It was really a bad market. Most of our potential tenants or the leads we have was saying we have other things to manage than moving the people. And does it say that just postpone the project? Maybe. We don't know. Fortunately, in this framework, CeGeReal have been quite successful. So it's quite an opportunity for us to present some good results. But for sure, this market, the letting market in France, was rather bad on the office part. On the investment side, not bad. We've seen 2 billion. The first quarter have never been the biggest one. I won't be surprised that we, at the end, it will be between 12, maybe 15 for the more optimistic. But we are close to the 10-year average. And so it's okay. It demonstrates, again, the liquidity of the market. So it's okay for us.
Okay, good. Yeah, Luke, go ahead.
I think what I'd just say on the occupation market from an office perspective as well is that yes, the economy is not performing that well. It will have the effects on the occupational market as well. But the fact is at the moment supply hasn't really changed. The vacancy rate hasn't really changed, and it's actually it's a funny market if you're comparing it, say, with London, where you have tenants enter into leases that are for 10 or 15 years. In France, it's a 9-year lease. It's got breaks at years 3 and 6. So theoretically, from an institutional perspective, that just doesn't look as attractive for investors. But actually, conversely, it really helps the market stay liquid. It keeps transactions moving. It means tenants aren't thinking, well, I don't have to sign up on a 10-year lease. So it doesn't block the market. They're thinking, well, I've got in 3 or 6 years' time, I've got the chance to renegotiate with the landlords. So at the moment, what we're seeing is that tenants aren't necessarily moving. But they know that they've maybe got an opportunity to discuss the rent with their landlord. That keeps the rents again a little bit in line. It helps why there's explain a little bit of the stability in the market. But also there just isn't the choice for a lot of these tenants to move, even if they want to have better quality space, because there's a lack of this grade A space. And if they want to rationalise a space and move to new big properties, there just maybe isn't the right opportunities out there. Even if clearly they can actually consider that it costs a lot if they actually look at refurbished properties. But I know that you probably want to say about it.
I want to be a bit more positive, actually. I know that the market is a bit tough. Okay, that's the thing. But again, if you have the right project, right location, brand new building, you'll find a tenant. And I have different examples on that. I think we have to be more selective today, but we still have a take-up which is quite stable. So you'll find a tenant. But it really depends on the rent that you're expecting. I think that most of the areas suffer because the rent which is expecting is not the good rent. When I see some brand new buildings in La Défense area, and at 650 euro per square meter per annum, I think is not the good rent. It's not the right rent. So of course they struggle to find a tenant at this rent. Maybe they stuck with it because of the price they bought it. They need to they need to lease the building at 650 euro per square meter, but it's not the good rent. So you will not find a tenant on that. I have another example. We are developing an asset in the south of Paris. There was a speculative development back in 2011. I had a lot of questions about why do you invest in a speculative development, in 2011, in the first periphery of Paris. I said because of supply-demand imbalance, because we target the good rent, we targeted, a 350 euro per square meter, and we've managed to lease 50% of the building 6 months before delivery. And, it just shows that if you got the right deal, good location, good bonds, and you design a good product, you will manage to attract tenants on your building. And why? I mean, one of the reasons why these guys moved to a brand new building is they look at the options they had. If you look at the second-hand building today, they've re-geared already. I get the example with this tenant, with a tenant I'm negotiating with at the moment on this building. I'm proposing 350 euro per square meter of rent on my building. For the building that the tenant is occupying at the moment, they pay 320 euro per square meter. But it's a second-hand building, and according to the occupancy ratio, the design of the building, actually the workstation cost for the tenant is 8,000 euro per annum for one person, while on my building is 5,000 euro. So the thing is much cheaper, even if the rent that we're proposing today on a brand new building is above the one they're paying on a second-hand building. you know, in terms of workstation cost, it's much more efficient to move to a brand new building. And the good thing on the French market, and I can tell you about Italy, what my feeling is about Italy, and in Italy, it's not a mature market, tenants are not well advised. In France, they understand what a workstation cost mean. So if you manage to explain that to them, you know, they will understand why, you know, they have to move to a brand new building. And that provides opportunity. And that's one of the reasons why the take-up is quite stable, because tenants want to move. So of course, you know, we all struggle to find tenants. It's a tough market. You know, the macroeconomic figures doesn't really help. Some people are concerned, but at the end, in terms of office space, again, if you have the right deal, the right location with good bonds, you'll find a tenant.